Welcome. This podcast is an exploration into being human and what's possible when there's less attention on the noise in our heads. Warning. While listening to this broadcast, you may experience moments of deep peace, sighs of relief, personal insights, or long stretches of dead air. Do not be afraid. This is normal. Under the Noise with Win Morgan and Kate Roberts.
Welcome to Under the Noise. I'm Kate Roberts, and I'm here with my incredible co-host, Win Morgan. Hi, Win.
Hello, Kate. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. And today we have a guest, Derrick Mason. Hey, Derrick. How are you?
How you doing, Kate? How you doing, Win?
Good to see you.
Likewise, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks so much for being here.
Anytime.
So, Derrick, our favorite question when we have guests on basically is to ask you what you would love for people to know about you right now.
What I'd love for people to know about me right now is that, like I said, I've had this understanding for about 7 years, and I'm still trying to figure out where I am with it right now, or what path it's going to lead me to, or what. But it's just more about following the feeling of where I am right now, and just trying to be in that mode, and just know that this understanding of the three principles is something to be lived in the now, or just to understand and appreciate the moment that we're in, and the journey sort of takes care of itself. And I'm on that sort of windy, bendy road right now. And at times it can be scary, but I said that before, times it can be scary. But it only gets scary when my intellect gets involved. When my intellect's not involved, it's just a wild, amazing roller coaster ride. And I'm just continuing to ride that roller coaster.
How did you come into this three principles understanding? I don't know if I know that story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something that seems like such a long time ago, Win, that I hardly get asked that anymore. And again, to do with this understanding, I thought that was my only entry into this understanding, like, this is my prison story. But it's always good to be asked that, or to recount back to that. I got this understanding when I was in prison. I was serving a 5-year sentence. And that had basically been a life I'd lived most of my adult life. And I went on a well-being program, based around the three principles. And I just gave myself enough space, something that I never usually done. I gave myself enough space to see something new. And I saw something about my life that I thought was foundational. And if you took that away, then I would basically crumble and disintegrate. But then I saw through it and I was still here. And I felt pretty good. So, it made me look into how many other foundational things I thought I had to stand on or rely on that had probably been made up by me. And even speaks a bit to what I was saying earlier, just on that roller coaster ride of just looking through and kicking away those foundations that I thought were making me me. And it's just revealing something beautiful every time. And like that was about 7 years ago. And I still feel like a baby. I still feel like an apprentice. I still feel like I'm just learning so much things. And you can't underestimate or overstate when they say the gift that keeps on giving. And that gift that keeps on coming from inside me. And it's just a beautiful journey. It just brings a smile to my face just to recount, and even to think before my thinking, anything I've done in prison or anything to do with prison thinking, it will be cloudy, it will be all down and dark, but just recounting that just brings a smile to my face. I know that, that happiness, we can find that anywhere. It can hit us from anywhere.
Wow. I'd love to hear an example of a false foundation that you had. And what replaced it? What was more foundational than the false foundation, if that makes any sense?
The foundation, right? So even to take it to a space where, like I said, I was 30 years, I was living a life of crime. And first time I was arrested when I was 17. And I don't know, I told myself then that once you get a criminal record, that's it. You're just a criminal. You're not going to be able to get a job. And I started to go down that road. And that was something that I thought was foundational. It would be virtually impossible for me to switch my life around and get a job because of the rules that I'd made up on how much money I'd probably have to earn and the lifestyle that I had to live and all of the other association things that go with it. But in a moment, I was able to see through that and say, I've made all of that up. And it weren't really foundational. I could survive. Or I proved that when I came out, I was working a painting and decorating job on less than £60 a day. And I was surviving and I was happy because, like I said, when I realized that, I'm still standing and all the other things that I thought I had to live by or were a part of me, they weren't true. And even over so long, I started to tell myself that the job that I was doing, I was actually good at it. I was built for it. This is what I was made for. But to take away that, and now I'm built for it, I can do anything. And even to say, when you said love the part where you put on about what replaced it, for me, nothing replaced it. That was an amazing bit for me. It was all my life I had this idea that if I get rid of something, you have to have something to replace. And I think that's a society thing as well. Don't get rid of a job unless you've got something in place. Don't always have something in place. And I saw that there was nothing there but options, not abundancy of options. And I didn't have to pick one. I didn't feel pressured to pick one. I couldn't even see one. I just knew there was loads of options other than the one that I thought was my foundation. And any of them fit. It was just a beautiful thing to know that I could be filled with that feeling and not knowing it's been replaced with something other than that space of possibilities. And this is what gets me, because that intellectually sounds, okay, yeah, that makes, but I didn't understand that until I felt it. Does that make sense? Yeah. And even to say that still holds true today, that nothing's directly replaced it. Because I've had all these ideas of what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing, but then again, they're things that I think need to be there, but whatever feels right in the moment, whatever, and it's still, the more I can take it back, that's why I say I like coming back to my original insights and what I was saying and what I was seeing, because that's so rich to know that, yeah, the same rules that apply there, 7 years down the line, it's the same things that apply. There's nothing foundational that I can say, this is what makes me me, other than that infinite space of possibility. And yeah, sometimes we just need a little on the head, just to remind us of that.
I remember years ago, and it's maybe 12, 15 years ago, when I first saw this quote, that we don't create abundance. Abundance is what's there. We create scarcity. And it just reminded me of how true that is, but I didn't know it to be true until, I don't know, sometime between when I first read it and now. And that's what you're pointing at here, is that we make up one way, when in fact, as you said, an abundance of options. Mm. And that nothing in the form is really me, I think, is another way of saying what you said, but those are just my words for it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think that's an amazing thing to see the truth of that. But as you said, it can only be felt, not read in a book or heard on a podcast. has to be felt, the truth of it, not just an idea.
I love that win, because as you said that, I can see I'd live my life living out loads of ideas. Loads of ideas, and how they felt didn't matter. The closer to the feeling, the better, but how they really felt didn't really matter, as long as you push through the idea. But then just us understanding that there's always something deeper than that. There's always something deeper than that. And just like what you said as well, the same thing what we say when we say we make peace. Peace is everywhere. Peace is there without us doing anything. We have to cause some disturbance or disruption to break the peace. So we can't make peace. It's impossible. Just like you said, that abundance. I had a call earlier, and I was sort of saying that everything that we have is around us. And when what was it? I said, happiness, mental health, mentally healthy, and wisdom. If I know that they're always available to me, I might not be able to see them all the time, but if I know they're always available to me, then that's all I have to really remember. So when I can't see them, I just know, okay, they're there. It's just about knowing that something's there, even when you can't see it. Just gives you that bit of reassurance that it's always got you covered. And just knowing that as well, like I said, those things are there for us. We sort of construct a way to separate ourselves from it, thinking that's the quickest way to get to it. But yeah, when we just know that the abundance of what's available to us and what can come from us, it's just a reassurance. Nothing ever gets taken away. There's only ever we can add.
Derrick, I love what you said about like the things in the beginning that you didn't think you were going to survive when they fell away. Like that's how tightly these beliefs are part of us, that it almost feels like we won't make it through when they start to fall off. But I love how you pointed out that you didn't pick up something to replace it. Although for me, I love to try. I love to try, but it's a little bit like, so I've got like all over my monitor, I have these quotes that I love, things that people have said, and I'll write them down and stick them to my monitor. One, by the way, is yours. I have one of your quotes up here.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes like those beliefs, they fall off. And they don't ever really want to stick back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're constantly falling off now. I have to keep putting them back on and keep putting them back on. And so I love what you're saying about not replacing them with new beliefs, right? Because that's what it's like. Like when we start to kind of get a sense of this, like it's like our personal mind will try to replace it, to know, to settle, but it doesn't quite stick the way that it used to.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps falling off.
I think that's what gave me that reassurance, because even we can say it's two different worlds, or I can look at it like two different worlds, but living that life for 30 years and then seeing that the foundation that I built up could fall away. And it's like you said, not straight away I didn't replace it with something, but eventually the mind just wants to replace it with something. So eventually I got all these ideas about what my new life can look like and what I should be doing. And again, it's a different field, But it's the same construct. It's the same thing, building the construct of what I should be doing. And because there's a different field I think I should be doing it. So I'll put more endeavor on it. But it's the same thing as the reality that I thought I was inhabiting then. It's exactly the same thing now. And knowing I could let go of it after 30 years showed me that I can also let go of it after a few months, after a year, of thinking that this is what I have to be doing. And again, it takes me to like my first insights. I didn't know what the hell I would be doing out of this. I just know I didn't have to sell drugs. And again, I might be here right now saying, I don't know what the hell I'm going to be doing out of this. I just know it doesn't have to look like anything that I thought it had to look like. And then again, I can settle and then been on this journey of just doing what feels right and just following that feeling. And then just being trusting and confident in that. And know that there's nothing on what I should or shouldn't be doing other than following that feeling. And even like I said, when I go back, the things that I was saying when I first got my insights, I'm really getting an understanding of like what I'm saying. Like when I say follow that feeling, I know that feeling I'm talking about, and it's got me here speaking to you. It's got me in the spaces I've been in, and there's been no plan. There's been no ambition to get to a certain destination. It's just being what I know I can be and just following that. And I don't even know if that's any, not advice, but anything you could say to somebody, right? That's the blueprint, follow it. Because I don't know, I couldn't give this blueprint to anybody because it looks a bit left, right, up, down, all over the place. But the feeling feels centered. And that's what I love. That's the stability that I can work with. That's what I said before, when I follow ideas, there's no stability there. There's just, the stability is I'm following ideas. And I'm all right with that because I'm following ideas. But the stability we're talking about now is something from within. And outwardly doesn't feel like it's what you feel inside. And that's what I've been trying to follow.
Derrick, do you want to know the quote that I have on my computer right now? Do you know what it is?
Yeah. No, I'm supposed to. Go on.
Yours is truth doesn't have a language.
Oh, yeah.
It speaks to essentially what you just said, that it's a feeling.
That's so, do you know, I spoke at Viva this year, and because I spoke there last year, certain circumstances allowed me to speak again this year, and they sent me my bio. They said, yeah, is there anything you want to change? And when I read it, it just felt so like, no, like just timeless, just like it still said exactly where I was. And I just thought, wow, look at that. There's no intellect in that. That is just pure from that same space we're talking about. And that will probably never have to change because it was just so simple and just so to the essence of where I was or what I am. And that will never change. I was like, wow, thinking, okay, it's last year, needs an upgrade, needs a little polish up. But no, it wasn't talking about anything in the thought. It was just talking about what I'd seen and what I'd sort of felt. And that will never change. That will never change. Never, never. And it's the same, like when you said that truth, it speaks to me, or it hasn't got a language where I can recognize, and I can only interpret it in my own language. That's how I felt it. And it's the same feeling. Like the feeling comes across me. It doesn't speak to me, like it just is feeling. and it just colors, your world can look in black and white. But when that feeling takes you, your world just turns into color. And then when you can just try to articulate what it is you're feeling, and that's the only way I can bring it into language.
I'm really enjoying the silence in me now. How quiet I am on the inside, and I'm really enjoying it.
I think that's another one of those foundations. Sorry, Win. That's another one of those foundations that silence and the unknown. Those were impossibilities for me. I had to know, and I couldn't sit in silence because silence is no, it's not good. But just knowing that it's the total opposite. So there's nothing to be afraid of this, the unknown, because everything comes from there. And when you sort of get an acceptance that out of that silence is where you get all your answers from, then you just replace that with, okay, so it's not how I thought it was. The unknown is something. I've always said it's like, I always used to say, yeah, I know that, I know that, I know that, I know, thinking that I look like I know. But when I say, no, I don't know, then maybe I'm opening up the opportunity for you to tell me. So then now I do know. So every time I don't know, it gives me the opportunity to know, rather than acting like I know, deny myself the chance to know, if that makes sense. And to see that, that just flips ignorance on its head, where I don't have to know everything. The less I know is the more secure I feel, because I'm open to learning. And I'm open to even what I thought I knew. That's the bit further. Even what I thought I knew is off the table. Is off the table. And just open to anything is possible. Like me feeling something here in where I am, and then seeing it replicated in front of my eyes somewhere else, or me having a thought in my head, and then seeing somebody else suggest that same thought, just shows me that there's nothing past what we think is possible in this understanding. When we do enter that quiet space and an acceptance of the unknown. Love that. Those are things that, like, yeah, I said the unknown would have been a big one for me. But just break down, everything's unknown. Only our intellect puts a network or a frame on it and keeps us comfortable to think that we do know.
You know, it's funny. What popped into my head is the feeling of peace in the space of nothing, like no noise. And then if I'm uncomfortable with that, I'm looking for something known. And why would I look for something known to give me the comfort? It's like, wait a minute. Hang on a minute. So I could feel comfortable here, but I think myself out of it. And in order for me to feel comfortable like then, I need to know something in order for me to feel spacious and at peace again. It's interesting thing to see it from that angle. As you just notice that, wait, no, peace has no conditions.
Mm-hmm.
That inner peace of Why I think anybody does anything is for that feeling.
Mm.
And yet, it's unconditional. It's here all along. I mean, that's a heck of a thing that I kept looking for, needing to know the answer, to fill in the gap, and the gap was where everything comes from. It's just, I had no idea. I spent 40 odd years of my life looking in the wrong direction, innocently.
See, the way you're talking it now, I'm really getting to understand of how I built. 'Cause just like you, that was my foundation. The more I knew, the more secure I felt. The more information I had, the more protected I felt. The more better equipped I was to take on and to know that all of that wasn't true. I'm supposed to crumble all the information I've got, all the bits I've built up. I can't say I don't know. This is something that I realized being in a meeting or facilitating a group and somebody saying something about the principles, and the words I don't know cannot come out of my mouth. And the person I was facilitating said, no, don't do that. If you don't know, just say you don't know. Do you know how much strength people get from hearing you as a facilitator say, I don't know? I was like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, people hear that and say, okay, he doesn't know. Okay, then maybe. And I thought, wow, just being empowered to say, I don't know, as not a negative, as something where I feel naked, but I feel fully clothed in the truth of where I am. And just as you're explaining it, when I said, oh yeah, I remember I used to have a little glass tower like that. I remember I used to have one of those, but it was my foundation. Like, intellect was the key. Intellect is king. But to know none of that is even true. And to see it in a glimpse, it breaks down, but then very quickly you turn around and you're looking at a different one over there made of different material, but it's the same thing. But we can just see through it. And know it's not needed on that level. And to know that we can be there and we can still function and better or see more, the more we're prepared to know that we don't see or we can't see. It's just so against everything what I've been sort of told, but it's not. It's familiar to that inner self. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder when we start thinking that we need to know. Like, I wonder where that really starts for us. Like, so many people. Although I remember when I first started teaching high school, I learned very early never to act like I knew anything. Because they're onto you. So if you don't know, you act like you do. Oh my God, they would eat me up. Like, I would be crushed by the student if I acted like I knew something, because they're constantly, waiting for you to fail. Basically, I hate to say this. I love to use it, but they're waiting for you to do that. And so I learned very early not to be full of shit with them. But in my own personal life, I held on to that as if it were armor. Like, it kept me safe somehow to know when I was younger, still sometimes now.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting how when it came to teaching, I could put it down. This is how made up it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That I knew that served me as a teacher, made me better. So I could put that down anytime I wanted to when I was teaching. But as soon as I walked out the door, I picked that shit right back up. As if I'm not making all these decisions and acting like I have no idea what I'm doing. that I need it. But life's showing me I don't.
Mm.
And so that's what's so, I think, lovely about this conversation is we're choosing that. We're doing it. We're creating the feeling of needing to know, the feeling of not needing to know.
Mm.
Which we could put down at any point. Once we see, oh, we're doing that. We're creating that. But I think that's what makes it so cool when you see that you are creating that feeling of needing to know. And it's even cooler when we can hold it lighter.
Mm.
Maybe even laugh at ourselves.
And you know, that's what I see whenever they're in that space. There's always room to laugh at ourselves. And I've always found, always, no matter how serious or no matter, I've always found room to just laugh at myself. And know there's always space for that as well. No matter what. And it's that same feeling that we can just take the seriousness off it. Because, yeah, it's a good question you asked about when does all that stuff kick in and when do we need to know and when does it become so important and when does it... But yeah, like I said, when we just know that it doesn't really serve us, like you said, when we go in, we move away from it in order to find it. And we can just stay in that space and it's there for us. It's abundantly there for us. And just now we have that self-regulation where we know what serves us in the moment. And we're willing to just go down that road and then in an instant not know that we've picked it up and we're employing it somewhere else. But it's just having that beauty to know that, yeah, an example that we're actually doing that. Because we think we have to. As soon as we know we don't have to, then that takes some of the pull away. Gives us back a bit more autonomy, a bit more freedom to do what feels right, what feels in that feeling.
When there's no separation in that, you know, then it's cool when you don't see it and it's cool when you see it, right?
That's the beautiful thing about this understanding, that either side is cool, because there's only one thing behind it. And once you get to glimpse that, once whatever it is you're faced with gets a little bit transparent, you can see what's behind it and it's good again. It's just there. It's so beautiful, man.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of showed me that I can see through all of those things. With thinking that I might have had about myself or foundational thinking, it can fall away just like that. I know that that can fall away with any other thinking, any other thing that might be stuck with me, any other thing that might look like it's insurmountable. It's just that one thought that's out there already that I just need to feel, and it just draws me in that direction to see through it. Because if you couldn't sell me this with £1 million and a ton load of intellect, you could not sell me this. Yeah, I would have, only when I feel it. I've always been that headstrong. Oh, if I see a ghost, then I'll believe in ghosts. Yeah, I sort of understand that, but when I actually see one with my own eyes, then I'll believe one. But this understanding, when I feel it, then I know it. Then I can, because that is what's happened to me. It's not being sold to me intellectually, or it's just a feeling that I've just followed and seen in other people and seen how it's changed other people's lives and what it's led them to and what, yeah, it's just so beautiful. It's just so beautiful that in a way I don't have to say, again, another foundation was all of my past, forget that, scrub everybody's memory, here's the new me, and nobody knows about the old me because the old me was something wrong. But it's just about knowing that it's all the same thing. And that's what made me who I am today, without that negative or without that baggage side of it. But just knowing, yeah, moving forward. Yeah, it's just, no, it's just, yeah, this feeling's just so good. Just knowing what I've been through and what I can see coming or what I can see is possible from where I first started. Yeah, the infinite possibilities or infinite potential just feels like something totally different. And when I first saw infinite potential, it was the most amazing thing I'd ever felt in my life. But now it's much bigger and it's still the most amazing thing I've seen in my life. But it's still just past the boundaries of what I think is possible. And it's like numbers, you know, you can always put a 1 on top. So whatever I think I know, there's always something just past it, what I don't know. And that's the journey that I'm on. That's the gift that keeps on giving.
Derrick, thank you so much for being on the show.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I just like just sharing where I'm at and just being in this beautiful space with you two. Just helps slow me down, and that's what helps keeps me. When you're in the conversation, you can slow down. You can see what you've really made your foundations and what really doesn't need to be there. And even just being in that slow space just helps you to see certain things. Yeah, so I just love being in a conversation with you guys and sharing. And yeah, that's again, that is something that couldn't nourish me before. That's something no. But to know, just to fall into my natural space and no bells, no whistles, this is just me right now. And it's okay and it's good enough. And it's just every day just discovering that in different little aspects and just feeling the truth of it. So no, thank you for having me on, Win and Kate.
It's been a joy, Derrick. Thanks very much. You know, the one thing that just struck me again in listening to you in just those last few minutes is that every time I've heard you speak, and I don't remember the first time I met you or heard you speak. I don't know when that was. And I can't remember even in the past year how many times I've heard you speak, either in person or on Zoom. Every single time it feels fresh when something comes from you, and I wanted to honor you for that, and thanks again for bringing me back to freshness right now. Thank you.
No, thank you, Vin. Thank you.
And you can find out more about Derrick and that timeless bio that he just mentioned, where you found this podcast, and how to contact him as well if you want to. And if there's any feedback that you have for us, please let us know. And if there's a guest that you'd love us to have on Under the Noise in the future, please let us know too. And even if that's you, don't feel shameless to plug yourself on this. We'd love to have you on, or if you've got questions and topics that you'd love us to explore in the future. Thanks very much for being with us, and we'll see you again very soon. Take care.
Thanks for joining us. We'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and review. If you have a topic or question that you'd like us to chat about, email Win or Kate at win@winning.co.uk and Kate at katerobertscoaching.com. Until then, enjoy what's possible under the noise.